So first of all, suppose we take two inputs from users. Today we are seeing use of logical and arithmetic operators or logical and comparison operators first. So for logical and comparison operators, what we are doing is we will simply write a simple equation. For example, we say x is equal to input, enter a number for x, or y is equal to enter a value for y. Okay. So let's say this will simply give us two numbers. And here we will convert the numbers into int, which is integer. And here also. So this way a simple casting will be done with the help of int function. After x and y, we will simply say if, and here you just have to write a single bracket. In first bracket, write your first condition that if x is greater than y. Okay? And here you have to write your operator and y equal to 20. Let's say we are giving these two conditions. Okay. So you can see in these two conditions we have applied two different conditions that the value of x should be greater than y and y should be equal to 20. And then we will simply enter if block, and in if block we will simply print something like both conditions are true, else we will simply write both conditions are not true. So in case of AND operator, all our conditions should be true, then only AND operator will work properly. Okay. Otherwise, AND operator will always print the else part, the false part. Okay. So let's try to enter. So let's say we enter 10 for x and we enter 20 for y. So here one condition is true, but second is not true. Okay. We can run the program once again. If x is 22, y is 20, then only you will get an output that both conditions are true. So this is a simple Python program for beginners to understand the use of logical operators. Okay. This way you will be simply able to provide any number of conditions here. And this is important particularly where you are trying to fetch data from any data set. So I'm just giving one simple example, although this will come later when we will start learning things. So just ignore what we are doing, just try to understand the use. So import Seaborn as SNS, and let's say iris is equal to SNS.load dataset iris. So iris is going to be a simple dataset of flowers that we will learn later for data analysis purpose. Here you can see this is dataset. Just you can see in a dataset there can be n number of conditions. Okay. In the similar way, we can also include any other data set here. So this is a simple way of loading a data set. For example, we can also include a data set like Titanic. Okay. In Titanic, you can see people who were traveling on Titanic ship, were they able to survive or not? So this type of data is there. So if suppose you want to filter the data, so you write conditions like df where df who equal to man. So this is your first condition. I'm just giving an example here. And here also you will use your operators and. Okay. EF survived is equal to 1 and gender is equal to male. So this way you can simply write this type of equations. Okay. And with the help of these equations, and here before this line, I will simply say df is equal to iris. I know this will not make sense to you, but this is a simple case. And when you will apply this filter, you will see it will filter the data set for you. Okay. So here we have to write male because this will not work. So here out of total 800 rows, it filtered the data. So when we will learn Python pandas, then this logical operator will become this and sign. Okay. But when we are learning core Python, you can see this this and operator or the logical operator that we are using is the keyword and. Okay. So you have to understand this. So this is something that you have to understand and run very carefully, that while reading Python pandas, we will replace them with their operator symbols. And right now, we will simply use the keywords. This is one case. We can do another case for what type of operators. Let's say here we will ask city is equal to input, enter the name of city. Okay. So we are asking the user about their city. If city equal to, you can write any one city, for example, Delhi, or city equal to Agra or equal to Jaipur. Okay. So here you can see it is giving us a condition. So if city equal to Delhi, so here we are using the OR operator. In case of OR operator, you can see it is saying if city equal to Delhi, or city equal to Agra, or city equal to Jaipur. So in case of OR, any one condition can be true. So if any one of these conditions is true, because all the conditions can never be true, city will not always be all these three values. So we will print monument. Okay. If city is in Delhi, like now we are comparing exact value. So if the case is that city is equal to Delhi, we will print red fort. L if is a short for else if, okay? Because city can be Delhi, Agra, or Jaipur, right? So else if city equal to Agra, we will print the monument is Taj Mahal. Else print Jal Mahal. So instead of else, we can also write L if city equal to Jaipur. Okay. So you can write it like this also. But why we are writing Elif here? Because we are writing Elif because we are writing else because if all these conditions are not true, okay, then we have to provide else at the level of our if. So it will print monument not found. First, I will simply explain you and ask you, do you understand this particular code? Or do I have to explain it once again? So here, just look at the levels, okay? The main if block is starting at no indent, no margin from left, okay? So its else block will also start from no margin from left. Okay. And since its else block is also starting from no margin from left, so whatever we will write at this indent will be part of the inner if block. Okay. So we'll print monument if city, Delhi, elif, else. All these values are at the same level. Okay. And when you will write if city equal to Delhi, so here you are creating a nested if. Nested if means if else condition inside another if else condition. Here we are saying this is just like a case when type of condition. So here we are giving three cases that if city equal to Delhi, then print this value. Else if. So we don't write else if in Python. We write L if. L if city equal to Agra, print Taj Mahal. Else print Jal Mahal. And if city is neither of these values, so you will simply print monument not found or city not found. Okay. Let's run this. So it is asking, let's say Agra. So it will pick monument Taj Mahal. You can see. So it because it will if the condition is true, it will always print monument because this is not written inside any block. But then after this, after printing this line, it will check all these conditions. Okay. If, elif, else, and then it will print the output. So you will get this particular output. So in case of OR, if none of the conditions are true, for example, we write city is equal to Kanpur. So monument not found. So if none of the situations or conditions are true, then it will simply print the else part. Now, suppose someone asks us to use operators and loops to create a program. Okay, so we will simply use operators and loops to print table of a number. So table of a number means like suppose we enter a number, so it will give output like 2 times 2 equal to 4, 2 times 3 equal to 6. So this kind of output. For that we have to understand some functions, various things to get started. So there is a function that is called a range function. This range function has mainly two arguments, your starting range and your ending range. Okay. So this simply means it is generating a range from number 1 to number 10. Okay. Last number in range function is ignored or is not considered. So it is it or in other words it will we can say it will generate range from start to end minus 1. Okay. This is one example of range. Later we are going to study range function a lot. Okay. So for example, if we want to see what numbers are there in a range, so what we can do, we are going to study another very important data type in Python, and this data type is called list. Okay. So when we write x is equal to 45, here we are storing one single value in the variable x. Okay. But suppose we have to store marks of students. For example, marks is equal to 45, comma 67, comma 89. Okay. So then in that case, if we say print marks, so it will print all these three values. Okay. So we are going to study list later, but as a integer or a string value stores one single value, a list stores multiple values that are comma separated and they are written inside square brackets. Okay, so we are going to study list later, but today we are just doing an understanding a little bit more about range function. So for example, if we say list range 1 to 11, so you will see the output like this. Okay, list range 1 to 11 means list all the elements of range from 1 to 11. So you can see it will generate a sequence from start to end minus 1. So in end we provided 11. It will give us, minus 1. This is one example. And we all have studied arithmetic progressions in class 10th or 11th. Okay. So in arithmetic progressions, suppose you have to generate a sequence of numbers. So suppose we start from 1 and we give a common difference of 5. So it will be like this 105. Sequence will be like this. So it will be start, stop, and step. So we are simply calling it start, stop, and common difference. So you will see output 1, 6, 11, 16 going up to 96. Okay. Because after 96, if you will add 5, 101 will come and that is out of range. So it is generating these numbers from range 1 to 100 in steps of 5 or common difference of 5. So this is a simple case. Okay. So have you understood the range function so far? That there are two cases in range function. If you will not provide this step value, so it will generate a sequence with a step value of 1 or a common difference of 1. But if you will provide a step value here like 2, so it will generate a sequence with common difference of 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. Okay. So this is one case. Now since we know that this range function will generate this for us, now we also will learn for loop. Okay. So for loop, what is the use of for loop? In for loop, we run the loop by knowing number of times to run it. So in for loop, we always know how many times we have to run a loop. Okay. So we will use for loop here. So a simple way of writing for loop will be for I in and just write range 1 to 11 print I. So here what is happening for I in I will just write it from starting. For I in range 1 to 11 you will write a colon as a, and you have already studied that in Python. We use the indent to write a block of code. Okay. So suppose you have to write a piece of code n number of times. So you use loop for that. if you have to print something, let's say 10 times, so you will use for loop and provide a range in such a way that in your range there are 10 iterations. To have 10 iterations in our range, I already showed you this simple example. Just write range 1 to 11. So for I in range 1 to 11, we are saying for I can be index. Okay. So for index in range 1 to 11, if the first value is there, print the first value. Second value is there, print the second value and so on. So print I. Now when you will run this, you will see numbers from 1 to 10 will be printed. So this is a very simple program to remember. For I in something, print I. Now here this part will be replaced with some iterable element. But if you have to run the loop 5 times, you will write for I in range 1 to 6, print I 5 times. If we have to print 20 times, let's say, so we will write 21. So just write 1 plus. Okay, just add 1 to and start with 1. There is one more way. If you have to print 10 times, like you write 10 here and start with 0 because the index starts with 0. So you can write it like this also. We can also write it like this. For I in range minus 10 to 1. So it will start from minus 10 and it will start in a descending order. So there are different ways to do that. But we will mostly use 1 to 11. Okay. So this is a simple case. Now, so I think now we have figured out that we will run for I in range 1 to 11. So first you have to remember this part. Is this part clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay. Now we have to print the table of a number. So when you print the table of a number, the output is like this. 2x1 equal to 2. Okay, output is like this when you print the table of any number. So to give this kind of output, we will write for I in range 1 to 11 print. Now first we have to print a number. Okay, so we will write the number here. Print 2 and we can use it like this also. Print 2 comma, then we will write x comma, then we will write the value of I whatever it is comma, then we will write equal to, and then we will write the product of these two. So 2 multiplied by I. So this will give us a simple output that we are desiring. So let's see. You can see the output here. So this particular code is just printing. This particular code is just printing a statement 10 times. So it is just printing the statement 10 times, but every time the value of I is changing and the value of I is changing like this. So it will first be 1 and whatever the output of 2 into 1 is, just a minute. Now suppose we have to write another statement here, but we want to make it dynamic. So for that, we will ask user the number. So we'll write something like num is equal to int input, enter the number. So int input, enter the number. Whatever number the user will write, it will be converted into integer, and after being converted into integer, it will be stored in the variable num. So instead of writing 2 here, okay, we will simply replace it with our number. And before doing anything, we have to understand. So obviously, the output of this will be easy for you to understand. So here, if you will write a number like 4, for example, so you will see an output like this. Okay, 4 into 1 equal to 4, 4 into 2 equal to 8, and so on. So it will be just like a table. So this is a dynamic way of generating a table with the help of for loop. Now there is one simple thing that we have to understand here, that suppose we are printing something, suppose we have to print the same thing like this, okay? So here let's say num is equal to 5 and I is equal to 2. Just giving an example. So if you will print this same line with the help of concatenation, so you will write num plus x plus I plus equal to plus this. So here you will get error. It will say unsupported operands. So if you want to use concatenation for it, so you have to do casting. By casting we mean changing number to string. So this will change number to string. This is already a string. Change this to a string also. This is already a string. And change this to a string also. So first calculate the product and then change it to string. So this way you will see output like this, right? The same type of output. And in this case, if you have to introduce extra spaces like you are seeing above, you can put extra spaces like this. Now, this is a question. This is easy for you or this is easy?
So first one.
First one, right? So what is the difference? So this print function basically prints n number of values, whatever you will provide it as an argument, comma separated. Okay. And when we are providing values in a comma separated way to our print function, in that case, print function will not look for their data type. It will simply print the value. Okay. But when we are, printing them as a joined or concatenated string, then it will ask you to change the cast because ask you to do casting because Without casting, it cannot add a number to a string. So this is more professional way, but this is a easier and more efficient way. So whatever you prefer, you can use. So this is a simple example of using operators in Python for uh, different cases. Here we are using arithmetic operators. Here we are using here also, and here we have used the comparison operators, and we have also used the logical operators. So this simple program will help you in understanding use of different type of operators. Okay.